What's up, guys? E-Drone here, and today we're going to be unboxing the Tiny 6 Mini Drone Mini Whoop by King Kong. Stay tuned.
Yep.
So as you know, it is the season, the whoop season. 'Tis the season to be whooping. As the wind picks up and the weather gets colder here in Delaware, most of our outdoor flights are going to be coming to a halt. Maybe a couple flights here or there when you have a perfect day without a lot of wind, but for the most part, we're going to be flying indoors with this Tiny 6 right here. I want to give a shout out to Dan, aka Drone Worship, for his recommendation on the Tiny 6. This drone's been out for a little while, and it has a lot of features that I'm really excited about. The fact that it does connect to Betaflight is awesome. The fact that you can tune this quad through Betaflight is awesome. It does have acro mode as well, and it is very tiny, as you can see here. I couldn't resist picking this up. It was a flash sale on Banggood, and I believe it was right around $47 to $48 flash sale. And this includes the XM FrSky receiver. So this is the bind and fly version, so you don't have to solder up a receiver or anything like that. And you can see here that the XM receiver form FrSky replaces the old AC800 receiver that they used to use on the Tiny 6. So let's go ahead and open this package up and see exactly what you get. Quite simple to open, actually. It's just got one staple and the package comes right off. And we'll put this off to the side, but right off the bat you can see that this is quite a small little FPV whoop drone here. I'm very excited about this. It's gotten a lot of good reviews online, and I just can't wait to get this thing up in the air and fly it around the house. But at first glance, it's definitely tiny. It fits right in the palm of your hand, so you can see perfect for indoor flights. There on the very top, you can see there's the receiver. There is the XM receiver, and here is our wire here for the 2.4 gigahertz. Here you have the all-in-one flight controller with the FPV transmitter built in, and there is the wire for the FPV transmitter. And as you can see, it's just a little wire here, so that's kind of neat that it'll be able to take some crashing, and it won't tear it up like a round type of antenna. Right off the bat, it feels pretty solid. It's got a little bit of movement right here on the propellers, on the ducts, but it definitely feels like you could hit some stuff, hit some walls in the house, and it's not gonna tear this little guy up. So you can see here that they've placed the 1-cell 250 milliamp battery underneath in the packaging. So let's go ahead and pull this out. And we'll set that to the side for a sec. Here on the bottom, you can see that you have access to the USB port here to access your Betaflight. And there is the F3 all-in-one flight controller there. And the technology that they're able to fit in this tiny whoop, it really is nothing short of miraculous. Quite impressed that you can fit so much technology in this little tiny frame here. But yeah, that's definitely like the look of the underneath of it, how you can see all the chips and all the motor plugs. As you can see, the motors themselves have different color wires, so you have the black and the white and the red and the blue to distinguish your clockwise from your counterclockwise motors, which is really nice. So if you need to replace these motors, it's a lot easier to figure out, what kind of motor you need. And they have these nice little plugs that just unplug. You have a little rubber band right here. You can see there's a little rubber band right there, and that kind of holds the wire nice and neat. You just want to periodically check those rubber bands because they can come off. But you know, changing a motor, you know, is really simple with this setup. I really do like the fact that they make it easy to change these motors, because these brushed 615 millimeter brushed motors, they can burn up. So when it comes to replacing them, you want it to be a nice, fast, and easy job. Taking a look at the one cell 250 milliamp LiPo battery here, you can see that it is 30 C constant, 60 C bursts. And this is a nice little battery here by Geonang. There's the website right there, so if you need to get replacements. But it's super lightweight, very small, and as you can see, it has a nice little connector here that plug directly into the connector of the drone here. So it just plugs right in there. Slides underneath. I will say that the fit is pretty snug. It's got a little bit of movement back and forth, but not a lot. I don't know if that's something that will loosen up over time, but for right now, the battery does feel secure enough to where you could fly around. I don't think this battery is going to do a whole lot of moving on you. So that's good. I don't know if they've tightened that up from the original design, because there was the first tiny Whoop Tiny 6s that came out. A lot of people were complaining that the battery tray was too loose and the batteries were sliding around. So that's nice. All right, digging in the package a little bit further, you can see they give you a USB charger here. You get your instructions here, which we'll take a look at. You get some kind of warning message there, which we'll look at. And it looks like here you also get some accessory pack information as well. So we're going to take a look at all that, see exactly what we have here. Put this off to the side. But like I said, you know, this is the bind and fly version. So let's go ahead and take a look at this instruction manual first. Okay. And this is giving us a little warning about the FrSky XM receiver. Oh, so they're basically telling you that the version of firmware that's on this XM receiver may be an older version that has that problem. So if that's the case, all we have to do is remove these two screws right here, and then we need to unplug the receiver. I'm not sure if it plugs in or if it is soldered in, but we'll take a look. And we need to take this receiver and flash the newest firmware, which we can actually do on the FrSky transmitter. So nice that they include that to kind of, and they also have it in Chinese, but it's nice that they include that to let you know, hey, you know, if you have a problem with it binding, you know, it might be the firmware of the receiver. So it doesn't mean that it's a bad receiver. It just means that the firmware needs to be updated. So that's nice that they include that. And they also give you the manual for the FrSky receiver right here, which is nice. And that will show you the binding procedure and how exactly you bind the craft to your transmitter. So that's nice. They also give you the fail safes. So it's nice that they include that as well. Put that off to the side. And let's see what we have here. Here we have the instruction manual, which is in color. So that's nice. Pretty detailed. Let's switch it over to the English side. Pretty detailed here. They show you the flight controller VTX combo with the video ground 5-volt pads. And they show you also here the different frequency color chart, so you know what frequency your FPV transmitter is in. They give you some specifications here. It is a 65 millimeter from motor to motor, and the propellers are 31 millimeters. It does have the Betaflight Micro F3 flight controller, so that's really nice that they have that. This is going to tell you what comes in the combo. So if you got the basic combo, you're going to get the plug and play. You're going to get the battery and the charger. You got the advanced combo. You're going to get all this different stuff here. And same with over here. They have the basic combo and the advanced combo. Oh, that's for the Tiny 7, excuse me. So basically, they give you the Tiny 6 and the Tiny 7 package list here. They also show you what sequence to do when you want to flash the newest version of Betaflight onto the flight controller. They actually show you what settings need to be connected. Also, they show you your gyro and PID loop frequencies, which is nice. So if you're not sure, there's that info there. And they also show you here the motor and propeller clockwise, counterclockwise rotations. So it says, pay attention to the direction of the motor and the propeller. So if you need to change the propellers, they tell you which ones are clockwise and which ones are counterclockwise. Very informative instruction manual. I definitely like this. This is going to come in handy. Right down here, you can see that the charger here is 200 milliamp and 500 milliamp switchable. So this is suitable for 2 different battery charging and cannot be charged at the same time. So basically, you would take this and you would plug in the Tiny 6 battery. Let's go ahead and open this up so we can take a better look. Basically, you have your USB charger here, and this would just plug into your regular USB device. And you can see that right here, this plug is going to be for the Tiny 6 battery, and this plug here is going to be for your Tiny 7 battery. And here's your switchable milliamp right here. So you can actually switch this, and you can see that they actually have it set to 500 milliamps. They actually have it set to 500 milliamps from the factory, but really we need to be at 200 milliamps because we want to get the most out of our battery. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that over. So now it is actually switched in the 200 milliamp setting. So not bad little device. I'm not crazy about everything that's exposed on this charger. That I'm not crazy about. Even if you were to set this down, on some kind of metal, you can see all your solder joints are there, and I'm not really crazy about that. I wish that they had wrapped this in a heat shrink, which I might end up doing myself, because you can still leave a little cutout for your switch and your hookups here. But yeah, I really think that they should have wrapped this in some kind of a heat shrink just for safety. But it does have a little bit of a shine on it. I'm not sure if it's some kind of conformal coating, but it does have a little bit of a shine on the actual board. But that would be a nice little upgrade that we could do to this, is just go ahead and put a heat shrink over top of this, cut out a little hole for your switch, and obviously leave these open for your plugs. So here you can see in the package, you get the Tiny 6 Whoop drone here with the XM receiver. You get the 250 milliamp 30C constant 60C burst 1-cell LiPo battery. You get the USB switchable charger from 500 milliamps to 200 milliamps. And you get the instructions. You get a warning here about the firmware of the XM receiver. And you also get the instruction manual for the XM receiver. And this, all this for $47. I mean, that is a great deal. Definitely a good value. Let's go ahead and take this canopy off the Tiny 6. And the Tiny 6 does have some tiny screws right here. 2 Phillips head. So just get you a small little Phillips head screwdriver. Definitely don't want to over tighten these screws. Now, you have to be careful when removing the canopy because the camera is connected. So just keep that in mind. Also the plug, we'll just flip this over, but you can see right underneath of here, you have your receiver right on top of this little foam mounted in here. And the camera here also has a little piece of foam and it is glued into place let's take a look at these receiver connections. So the receiver is directly soldered to the board. So if I flip this over, you can see right here, there is your soldering connections. This will zoom, this will focus. There you go. There's your 5-volt, your signal wire, and the ground wire for the receiver right there. So in order to flash new firmware to this receiver is going to be quite challenging. So hopefully this version of the XM receiver has a good version of firmware, because if not, the only other way to flash firmware to this receiver is going to be to either unsolder these from the board, which I wouldn't recommend, or unsolder these from the actual receiver. You would have to solder up a 3-pin connector and actually be able to plug this in to your transmitter to flash the firmware to this receiver. So not exactly an easy fix to do new firmware. So we're going to hope that the latest version, or a version that's not been affected by the binding process, installed on here. So just wanted to let you know about that. But you can see right here, this is where the 2 screws connect to hold the canopy in place, and they have little rubber dampeners here. So it looks like, because of the rubber, the flight controller is some kind of a soft mount type. It does have rubber on all of the little standoffs that hold the flight controller onto the little plastic frame here. So that's kind of interesting that it is kind of soft mounted. But very super clean build here. I mean, there's not really a lot to it. Definitely a super clean build. Should be a lot of fun to get this thing in the air. If you look right here in the top corner, there's the bind button. A very, very tiny little button in there. Looks like it'd be super hard to press that, but that is where the bind button is on this receiver. Wanted to do a size comparison so you guys can kind of gauge how how tiny this Tiny 6 really is. But here's my Wizard X220, which is a 5-inch racer, and you can see the Tiny 6 is so tiny compared to the Wizard. The Tiny 6 actually takes up just about as much space as this side of the prop over here. So you can just see how tiny this little Whoop is compared to this 5-inch racer. This is going to about wrap it up for the unboxing of the Tiny 6. So we're going to be, in the next couple videos, I'm going to be getting this thing set up. We want to bind this craft to my FrSky QX7 transmitter and get it all hooked up, and we'll show you step by step how we do that. Obviously we got to charge up the battery, get it ready to go, and then we'll be connecting to Betaflight with this, and we're going to go ahead and go ahead and flash the newest version of Betaflight 3.2 onto this craft, and then we're going to be flying FPV around the house and testing this little guy out and seeing how it goes. But super excited about this. I'm really glad that I was able to get this on that flash sale for a really good price. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, E-Drone out.